Welcome back to the Pull Podcast. I am your host, Big Jack. Today we have with us the infamous Richie Stephens. Richie, welcome.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate you.
Yeah, glad you're here. And I appreciate you making the trip all the way up from LA. I was watching one of your other podcasts that you did recently, and I was intrigued because a lot of our stories are similar. However, I'm not a gangster. I didn't do some of that stuff, even from like the Catholic Protestant days or whatever. I was hoping maybe we would take that same kind of approach for our viewers, which is kind of give us a little background about, how you were raised. I know you got some siblings and things of that sort. And then we could kind of go into what happened and what it's like today and all that stuff.
Yeah, no worries. So I think a lot of addicts or alcoholics, they have this feeling of being different, and I definitely had this because my dad was a Protestant and my mother was a Catholic. And we were all raised Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And where I grew up in Ireland, it was at the border. So in the 80s, there was a lot of political violence and, hatred of the two different religions.
Sure.
Because it's tied into the politics of
Sure.
it. So my mother was like really Catholic. So she made sure all the kids were going to be Catholic. And my dad didn't give a shit. So he was fine with it. But I have a British name. Like Stephens is not an Irish name.
Huh.
In Ireland, basically, all the Protestants have a British name because that's their heritage. So everybody knows you're Protestant if you have that kind of name, except I wasn't. And they sent me to a Catholic school, and, I used to get picked on and bullied for what my name is, even though I was a Catholic. So I was always like a kind of an outsider when I grew up, and I used to be very shy and nervous and didn't have any courage to stand up for myself or anything like that. So I used to, it wasn't a lot of fun growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing with me was when I discovered drinking, it became the solution to my problem that I didn't even really understand at the time.
Sure.
Yeah, because I had my first drink when I was about maybe 14 or 15. I was on my way to a concert, and
Is that late for somebody in like Ireland?
About average.
Okay. Or at least back then, right?
Yeah, back then. I think from what I hear, it's different now. I've been in America 20 years, but when I was growing up, everybody drank. It was just because the legal age was 18, so a lot of people would start at 13 or 14.
Exactly.
Yeah, so when I discovered drinking, it just gave me this courage to speak up for myself. Like I used to always worry about, what everybody thought of me. I was very, very self-conscious, but when I drank, that feeling went away. I was just able to relax. It made me into a different person.
Sure.
So when I discovered it, I was like, this is the best thing ever. Let's do it all the time.
I think the line that you said in the podcast that I was watching prior was, you were even an altar boy at one point, right? So was I. And, and I thought it was interesting because you said you were so self-conscious about, messing up or bringing up the book when it was necessary, or the hosts, or the, the communion or whatever it was. And I just remember doing the same thing, the amount of pressure that we put on ourselves, right?
Yeah. It's kind of ironic because I'm an actor now, but back then I was really, really scared of any kind of attention.
Sure.
I was very unsure of myself. So obviously when you're at mass, then you have to ring a bell. If you're not a Catholic, the priest holds up the host, and
Yep.
you get a little ding, and it's the altar boy's job to do that. But half the time I wouldn't realize
Miss the
it's
cue.
the time, like, and then the priest will like give me a frown, and everybody's looking at me like, oh shit, bang.
Right.
And
then you're self-conscious the whole day.
Yeah.
That's what I was curious about too, because for me, like, I don't even know where that comes from. Right. And I do believe that that's part of alcoholism, which is why I believe I was born that way. Do you believe you were kind of born an alcoholic, or do you think that?
Yeah, I think I was absolutely born an alcoholic. I don't know what the hell it is. Like, some people have theories that you become an alcoholic. I'm sure that's possible too. Like, if you drink a certain amount, you'll just become an alcoholic. But for me, before I discovered alcohol, I was addicted to other stuff like candy, or I was even addicted to books. I used to stay up half the night, any kind of escapism. I'd stay up half the night reading books when I was a kid, and then I wouldn't get enough sleep, and then I'd have this reading hangover going to school. And video games were another great one, and candy, and I definitely have the addictive gene for sure. And looking back now, and I don't think it ever really goes away.
Mhm.
It's just when you get into recovery, you do get some control over it.
I agree with that. I think moderation is still the goal, right?
Mhm.
With a lot of stuff, but at the same time, you know, if it's good, if it feels good, if it tastes good, if it looks good, like I want just more of it,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
And in some ways, I think it can be like a dark gift if you focus it on something positive,
Mm,
like whether that's your career or
fitness or,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've seen people harness it and put it into positive things, you know.
Hmm. No, I'm with you. So, you know, obviously that leads you. So your first drink, do you remember it?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it was a can of Heineken. I was on this bus coming back from this concert. It was Beastie Boys, Garbage, Stone Roses. Like it was one of those festival things, you
Yeah.
know. And if you're from the countryside in Ireland, like it's a big thing to go to concerts. It's like you get on a bus, everybody goes away for the day. You know, it's really exciting, like something somebody would look forward to for
Yeah. Big
months.
event. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was one of those things, and I was with my buddy, and we were kind of quiet. We were nerds, and on the way home, one of the girls on the bus handed me a can of Heineken and asked me if I wanted a drink of it. And I was kind of like, should I do this? And I was like, everybody was looking, so I was afraid to say no.
Right.
And then when I took a few swigs of it, I got the feeling,
Hmm.
you know. And it always like everybody I knew drank, but until I experienced that Heineken going down my neck, I didn't understand the feeling that it gave people. And I had an English teacher one time in school before this, and I remember he asked like a rhetorical question, why do people drink? And he says, people drink to get out of their head. And when I had that drink on that bus, I got out of my head.
And you knew exactly what he meant.
Yeah, the penny just dropped.
Yeah.
And I didn't care about anything anymore. I was able to relax. I had no care about what anybody thought about me, or I had no the feelings of inferiority went away. So, yeah, that was the feeling I got. And then after discovering that, it was like it became the most important thing in my life. Like, you know,
Oh, you're preaching to the choir. I remember I was like, I need to get as much of this as possible, stockpile it, so I always have it.
yeah,
You know, that first night.
yeah, and it's like like I was in school Monday to Friday, so it was kind of hard to drink Monday to Friday, but I'd be looking forward to the weekend so much all week, planning what I was going to do, and
Yeah.
it was all around drinking.
Yeah. So you successfully, because you're college educated as well, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So at what point so you're drinking, is there any consequences in high school?
a little bit. Yeah, like when I it rains a lot in Ireland. Like the
Mhm.
weather's really bad. So if you're a kid, you can't really drink in bars because the drinking age is 18. So they do check IDs because you get in trouble if
Sure.
you let in kids. So I used to have to do a lot of outside drinking, and that's not a lot of fun in the rain. And plus, I knew that it would be more fun to go to bars and clubs. So I needed to get into the bars and clubs, but I had no ID. And a friend of mine, his family owned a burger place in Cavan, where I'm from, and somebody left an ID behind, like a real one.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave it to me, and I was like, I can copy this on my computer. So I went around forging, or well, I went about figuring out how to forge this ID. Like,
So this is kind of your introduction to a little criminal activity.
that was it. Yeah,
Yeah. Even though you weren't looking at it like that at that time.
yeah,
Right?
it came out of necessity.
Yeah.
My need was to get into the clubs and the bars and party with the older people, and then this opportunity came, and so I figured out quickly how to reproduce this ID, and I figured out how to laminate it and everything. I was like, get these lamination slips at the newsagent, and you iron them with the clothes iron.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's like a lamination machine,
exactly.
basically a homemade one.
That's how it works, yeah. And I perfected it, and then it started working, and I started to get into all the clubs, and I could like score with adult women, and all the bartenders kind of learned my face, and I had already shown them my ID, so I became a regular at the
Sure.
bars and clubs, and then other kids knew that I had done it, so they asked me to make them for them. And it just became a business.
Because you had to pay your bar tab too, right?
Yeah, it got me my drinking money.
That's right.
Like I had a crappy job. Like I was a gas station attendant, filling people's cars with gas at the time, and that gave me some money for the drinking, but not enough. Like so, then I got in trouble with the cops. Then eventually for making the fake IDs, I had made hundreds of them. For everybody in the school, and then people in other schools who I didn't know, and a friend of mine was like the salesman. He convinced me to go big scale with it. And then one of the kids got caught by the cops, and then the cops came to my friend's house, and he rolled over on me straight away. That's how I got caught.
Snitch.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. So then the jig was up. What did your family think?
Oh, I was in deep shit for that. Yeah. They were, my parents are a square family.
Sure.
Nobody's ever been in trouble in my family. So it was a big deal that I was in trouble with the cops. They came looking for me to the house, and I had to go in and do an interview. But, I pleaded ignorant, and I pretended I had only made one or two. And I kind of knew when I did it that I was a minor, so I couldn't go to jail for it. But it was still scary.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. So then what happens? You get kind of the slap on the wrist and then go back to kind of doing what you're doing, or?
Yeah, I got away with a warning, and then that kind of gave me more courage to try it again. So basically the charge was for reproducing state documents, like that kind of forgery. So I came up with this other idea. So if the charge is reproducing state documents, I figured like I could like just remake college documents instead, and that's not illegal. And then I started making up imaginary colleges. So I would like make up imaginary, because there's so many of these small little colleges, like city college in America.
Sure.
In Ireland, there's a lot of these kind of little city colleges as well. So I would make up imaginary colleges and make college IDs for those as well. Because in my mind, it was like, even though it's a fake ID, it's not reproducing anything. So they can't prosecute you for copying something that's imaginary.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so that was.
So now you're finding loopholes. So you have the criminal mind.
I think so.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then, so at what point are you starting to think about coming to the United States, and what's the catalyst for that?
Well, a lot of things happened in that time. I went to college and got in some more trouble in college for drug activities. My drinking became drug use, and I became addicted to ecstasy and cocaine.
While you're in Ireland still?
Yeah.
Okay, so this club scene really turned you out then?
Yeah. When I got to college, I met a fella who became one of my best friends, and he introduced me to ecstasy, and then it was kind of the same as the IDs. I started taking ecstasy first, and then all my friends started taking them. Then they all wanted ecstasy, and I had the connection, so I ended up becoming the dealer by default.
Right.
And that kind of got out of control. I ended up, it really mushroomed. I ended up becoming a wholesaler, supplying them to other people all around the country. And then, one of my employees got caught, and then he snitched on me, and I was really, really lucky I didn't go to jail.
For real?
Yeah.
What did you get caught with?
I got caught with 78 ecstasy and 3 ounces of speed. And plus, I had like a couple of different currencies. And
for like a 20-year-old, right?
I think I was like 18 or 19 at that time.
Jeez.
Yeah, I was just a kid. And, the cops offered me to let me go completely. I won't even go to court if I snitched, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to put my family into danger. So I just said, look, I'll make an admission that they're mine, but I'm not going to tell you where I got them from, because I don't want to have to look over my shoulder for the rest of my life. So I was really lucky. I got 3 years of probation. So I didn't go to jail, and I got no convictions out of it. I was very, very lucky. But the way I ended up in America was, while I was on probation, I had a really sweet probation officer. She was like an older Irish woman, and, I think I could charm her a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds like it. With the grin on your face right now, it sounds exactly like what's happening.
It was kind of like, what's a nice fella like you doing getting involved with drugs? And I was like, I was with a bad crowd, but I was the ringleader, but I kind of played it up like that. And she was really sweet to me. And, I had to drop out of college for about a year because I was in deep shit. And so when I was on probation, I asked her, could I have permission to go to America for the summer on a student visa? And she says, you want to go to America, is it? I says, yeah. And she goes, "I'll let you go on one condition." Was what's that? She goes, "San Francisco, that's where you want to go?" And I says, "Yeah." She says, "Now, I want you to get the Greyhound bus down to LA. And I want you to get a map to the stars. And I want you to go up and look at the stars' houses. Would you do that for me?" I said, "No problem. I'll do that."
Interesting.
And then she gave me permission to go.
Did you ever ask why?
I think she thought it was exotic.
Yeah, I guess if people think America, they think, I guess, LA and actors. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
They're like rich people in LA.
I had no intention of being an actor at that point in time. I just wanted,
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I was wondering, though,
Yeah,
because
no.
it's just so weird that how your life turns out now. It's like,
it was
you know,
bizarre.
yeah, you're on pace to be one of those houses in LA, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see, God willing.
Yeah, well, whatever God has in store for me, I'm good with it. But so she gave me permission to go, and then I went over for the summer, and that's when I met my future wife. You know, we had a long distance relationship for a couple of years, and then she got pregnant, and I basically came to San Francisco.
So you got your green card that way?
Oh, we got married, yeah, and
yeah.
That's how I got my
nice,
papers.
Nice. And so what were you still doing illegal activity out here when you first got here?
Well, so when I got in trouble with the cops, I tried to be good. You know, I still had friends who were involved in that kind of stuff, but me, I tried to stay out of trouble for a few years, and I did stay out of trouble for a few years. Like when I first came to America, you know, I'm an addict, so if you're a real addict, there's no way to stop without going into recovery and getting help. You have to be. It's very, very difficult to stop without help. So, like, I hadn't gone to recovery at that point, so I was still trying to keep a lid on things, but San Francisco, I'm sure, as you know, has very good cocaine. So when I came out here, I started to try the really good cocaine, and, you know, I got into work in construction. And for a few years, I was just a user, you know. I was an addict, but I could kind of keep it to weekends for the most point. But I don't think I was an everyday user or drinker until the very end. After a few years of being here, we had the crash of 2008.
Yeah.
And that's what pushed me back into the up to no good world.
Yeah. Did you lose a home or anything?
No, I didn't have a home at that point. But,
okay.
But I lost a job.
Yeah.
And like, so
work slowed down for sure.
Yeah. I was a carpenter. I learned how to be a carpenter out here. But obviously, if you're drinking and using, you won't be the best people person to have on the job site. So I'm sure I burned some bridges, but my work ran out in 2008. So if you're an Irish fella in San Francisco and there's no construction, the next thing down the ladder is furniture moving. So I went doing furniture moving. I was like really broke at the time, and I still had the bad cocaine habit. So I got into dealing again to feed the habit. I'd say around 2008, 2009.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then from there, like, did your habit get so bad that you started doing the same thing you did with the ecstasy when you were in Ireland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
basically starting to sell it so you could supply it for yourself at first, and then it escalates, right?
Yeah. If you're selling drugs, it's a way of getting your own supply for free.
Yep.
And so I started off first with crappy cocaine. There was a fella, an Irish guy, we'll call him the Pony. So the Pony, yeah.
Love the nicknames.
Yeah, he's called the Pony because he's a little guy. But the Pony was selling me ounces of coke, but it was crappy stuff. I'd say it was cut a lot.
Stepped on.
Yeah. So if you're ever a drug dealer, you'll find that the crappy stuff is harder to shift than the good stuff. Like people pay more money for the good stuff. And so I used to get my own stuff off these Asians. And they had
Chinatown?
No, they were around the Sunset, but we'll call him Ronald. I was getting my own stuff from Ronald for years, and it was really good, pure, uncut fish scale coke. And so I was getting my own stuff off Ronald, and then one day I realized maybe I should try and get bulk off these guys. You know, I'm sure it would sell a lot easier than the crappy stuff. So I asked them if they would supply me in bulk. And they said the only way they could do that is if I joined their gang. And I was like, well, why would I have to join the gang? Because they sold really good stuff. And so if I was working with them and selling their stuff, and then decided to sell crap again. It would ruin their reputation.
That's actually really interesting.
Yeah, it's like an exclusive contract.
Yeah. Scary, but
Yeah, and they basically said, look, if you ever rat on us, we'll come and kill your whole family. And I was like, well, I don't rat, so that's not going to happen. And he said, well, the good thing is, if anyone messes with you, we'll be up with machine guns to handle them. And if you're ever arrested, he said, just keep your mouth shut and a lawyer will be provided for you.
So let me ask you this. You're in that moment. What's going through your head? Because you have you're at a fork in the road, right? This wonderful fork in the road, but it probably seems an easy choice to go the wrong way.
Well,
but tell me what's going through your head.
Well, right now, looking at it with a sober head, I can see the craziness of it. But at that time, when you're drinking and using, your mind doesn't work the same.
Right.
So at that time, I thought it was the perfect opportunity. I thought it was like, I can get the best Coke in town with the most professional crew in town. I don't need to worry about protection or anything like that because I'm with these guys. They warned me not to snitch, but I wouldn't snitch anyway, so I don't need to worry about that. So it was, for me at the time, it was the solution to my problems.
Slam dunk.
Yeah, it was the solution to my problems at the time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Gosh, so you started becoming a cocaine dealer then?
Yeah, well, I was already a cocaine dealer, but now I was a cocaine dealer with the good stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd get an ounce every week, and I didn't cut it. If you don't know about drug dealing, you can cut up the cocaine with other substances to make the weight bigger and make more money. So I didn't do that. I just I'd get an ounce every week, and I had kids at this point, so I didn't want to have it in the house around the kids or around the wife. So every week I used to have to find a place to cut up the ounce, because when you get an ounce of pure cocaine, it's like a solid ball of compressed stuff.
It's like a rock.
It's like a rock, yeah, kind of. So you have to chop it up and weigh it and put it into bags. So every week I used to have to figure out where the hell am I going to chop this up. So I'd just go to my local bar. I had my local bar in the Richmond district there. And, I'd meet people at the bar, friends of mine who'd let me cut it up at their place. And
do you remember what the bar's name was?
Oh, I do. Yeah. It's the Hockey Haven.
The Hockey Haven. I wonder if it's still around.
It's still around.
Oh, the hockey.
The hockey. Yeah.
Yeah. No, probably no hockey though.
Well, you know what? I think it's been around since about the 30s or 40s, and the whole time I was drinking there, I never once saw a game of hockey on the TV. They do show the sports, but you know what it's like? It's like on The Simpsons, it's like Moe's Tavern.
Yeah.
In real life, but that was like my living room, because I was a bar drinker. Because before I got sober, I would always try and do these things to prove I wasn't an alcoholic, right? So I knew that alcoholics drink at home. I was like, that's alcoholic shit. So I would go to the bar. So if I'm at the bar, it means I'm not an alcoholic. So the Hockey Haven was like my living room. I'd go there, after work, at weekends, and that's where my buddies drank with me,
So they did you have a back room or something?
No, not at all. And it was a constant cat and mouse between the owner. The owner was this old Irish guy called John. And he was an alcoholic too, like a late stage alcoholic. But he knew I was a druggie, but he could never catch me. So there was always a bit of cat and mouse. He knew I was up to no good, and he'd follow me into the bathroom sometimes and see if he could catch me doing coke in there. But he could never catch me. But he knew what I was up to.
But how did you break it up? You just sat at one of the booths?
No, I didn't break it up in the bar. I'd meet a buddy at the bar who would take me to their house. I'd chop it up at their house. But then I would sell it at the bar.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Yeah. And that's why old man John was not super.
Yeah, he didn't want to lose his license from my bullshit.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. This segment of the Pull Podcast is brought to you by Heartwood Home Detox. And what year are we at right now? Probably 2010?
2009. 2009, it started to get really crazy. My marriage really hit the rocks. My wife was sick of my bullshit.
Yep.
And when you're doing a lot of drugs, you get really depressed all the time too. And I had a girlfriend as well as a wife. And
oh boy.
Yeah. And let's just say I found out that somebody hurt somebody I really cared about. So I decided I was going to kill this person. And
have you ever, at this point, do you have violence in your past?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I've taken as many beatings as I've got.
Of course.
But, this is a fake tooth here. And these marks on my nose are from someone biting my face.
I need to hear that story, by the way. Let's not end this before I hear that story.
Okay. Well, so that one happened when I was in college, when I was like 18 or 19. It was before I got, actually, no, I think I might have been on probation at the time. But basically, the leader of my gang at the time was a fella called Tomo. Tomo was, he was a bit of a loner. Like, not a lot of people knew him, but me and him were really close. Like, and he lived in Dublin, and most people didn't know where he lived. And there was a psychopath by the name of, we'll call him Sullivan. And he had a baby with a girl we used to live with. We'll call her Mary. So Mary had a drug problem, and Tomo used to give her more and more and more ecstasy on credit, and like she had no intention of paying for it. And so Tomo would be calling her up saying, "Mush, have you got that money you owe me? I need that money. When are you going to give me the money?" This kind of shit.
Yeah.
And so she got sick of hearing him asking for the money. So she told the psychopath that Tomo is going to kidnap their baby because of the money that's owed, which wasn't true at all. Like, and so the psychopath is looking for Tomo. He doesn't know where he lives, but he knows I'm his best friend, so he comes to my house. So it's just like a Sunday night. I was already in bed, got a knock at the door. I came down, I was wearing my boxers. This psycho and his two friends were waiting at the door, and I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" Pushed me into the house. Fucking says, "Sit down there." And so I sat down on the couch. Like, he went into the kitchen and came out with a bread knife. He says, "I'm going to ask you some fucking questions, and I want some fucking answers." And I was like, "Fuck." And he like punched me across the face, and then he puts the bread knife to my throat, like forces it back, so my neck's against the couch, and if I move my head, he's gonna cut my head off. Like, so he was like asking me questions about my friend Tomo and about his connections to the IRA, and I played dumb. I wasn't gonna rat out my friend. Like, it was scary, but I didn't really think he would kill me. So I was like, I'll just have to fucking take the beating. Like, and so he was there for about 25 minutes, just beating me, stomping on me, kicking me on the ground. And, my whole face was swollen. And, he beat me to a pulp, and then he got tired at the end of it. And I think he believed me when I told him that I didn't know the address. He wanted Thomas' address. And then I thought it was over. My roommate was sitting watching the whole thing, scared shitless. This dude I was living with, Simon, and Simon took out a cigarette. He's like, because it's scary shit to see, I'm sure.
Fucking A.
Yeah, and he wasn't a gangster, so he wasn't going to jump in and fight for me or anything like this. So he gives Sullivan a cigarette, and he lights up the cigarette, and he goes, "Richie, you're a nice fella, but you're fucking stupid." And he leans forward and just bit my fucking nose, like he's trying to bite the top of my nose off, like this, like, and everybody's like, "Ah!" I'm like, "Ah!" And then
Jesus,
it wouldn't come off, but he just cut me, and then he gets up, covered in blood. I'm covered in blood. He goes, "Come on." The boys just left, like, fucking left me sitting there. So
dodged a bullet on that one.
Yeah,
Jesus. But we were talking about somebody had hurt somebody close to you. I didn't mean to go off on that tangent. I apologize. I just wanted to make sure I heard that story, because that's
so basically,
wild.
Back in 2009 in San Francisco, somebody hurt somebody that I cared about, and I decided I was going to have that person killed. Like, so I went. I couldn't kill them myself because I would be a suspect.
Yeah.
Yep. So I asked the gang, as Ronald, would they do it for a price? And he said no, they would only kill somebody who had messed with us in business. And he told me that he had killed people before, and that they kind of haunt him, and he was like trying to convince me not to do it. Like,
right.
And so, if you're working in construction, a lot of ex-cons work in construction.
Of course.
Right. And, one of the fellas I worked with, we'll call him Norteño Joe, because he was a Norteño, and I knew he had done 5 years at the time he was working with me, and I used to get coke off his brother.
San Quentin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in. I think it's in your book, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So he was a good dude. He was kind of funny, and
Norteño Joe.
Norteño Joe. Yeah. And so I thought he might do it or know someone who'd do it. So I asked him would he whack this person, and he said he'd do it for 5,000, and I didn't have 5,000, so I said I can give you 2. He goes, no way, I'm doing it for 2. Like, so then I thought about there was an IRA bar in town, for the terrorists, and they used to some sort of a money laundering operation down there. So I knew that this bar would have $500,000 behind the counter every Friday, because construction workers would come in with checks and they'd get cash.
That's how they launder it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the story was. Okay. Because I knew a fellow who worked there, and so my brainwave was, let's rob this bar and I can get the money. And then, I was thinking about leaving town as well. I was saying, fuck this, I think I'll just go to Australia. So I couldn't get anybody to rob the bar with me. Like I tried.
Thank God.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That's like a death sentence, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was a 2-man operation.
You were clearly not thinking straight.
No, this is the kind of good ideas you have on cocaine, like,
and been up for 3 days.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's kill some people and rob the IRA.
Yeah, so I asked my buddies to do it with me, and they were scared. And I asked my girlfriend to do it with me, and she didn't want to do it either. Like,
yeah.
And so I ended up not doing that. And Joe got back to me, and he got a DUI. So he was like badly stuck for cash. He said, I'll do it for 2,000. But you have to get me the gun. I'm not spending the money on the gun. Like, so I was going to get, I was going to get a gun for him to kill the person.
Sure.
And so I went over to see Silva, a buddy of mine, who told me he could get me a gun in the mission.
Yep.
And I had been on a mad bender for like a week. I had sent cocaine to Burning Man. Some undertaker from Ireland wanted a ½ ounce, so I got an ounce, and then I gave him the half of it, and then I took the other half myself over a couple of days. I was wired to the moon.
I'll say.
Yeah. And so I went over to Silva to get a gun, and I don't really remember a whole lot of the conversation, but I know that he just gave me a lug. He's like, I'm not giving this fool a fucking gun, So I left there, driving back home, through the Richmond up Fulton.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm on the road there, and a cop car right behind me turns on the lights and the siren. I was like, fuck. Because I had a gun under the seat. Like, I had my own gun, but it was a legal weapon. You can't use a legal gun for murder.
Obviously.
Yeah, because it's registered to your name. Yeah, and the police can...
Plus, you said you'd be a suspect anyway.
Yeah. So I had my own gun under the seat, and I had a bunch of coke in the glove compartment. So I was like... this guy was going to get me for DUI and find the weapon and the coke, and I thought I was done. But then he turned around and went back the opposite direction. He must have got like a call on the radio. So I fucking pulled over. I was all sweaty and everything, and I smoked a bunch of cigarettes, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go to jail for killing this fool. I'll just go to Australia. So I fucking went to Australia instead.
What the fuck is in Australia?
Yeah. Well, see, in 2009, there was no work in San Francisco because of the recession, but Australia didn't have a recession. And like tons of Irish people were going there because they have a small population and they need people. So I was told there was loads of work in Australia. And I thought like maybe America might be the problem. So, like before I thought maybe Ireland.
It was definitely not the coke. It was definitely not the girlfriend and marriage combo.
Yeah.
None of that.
Yeah. And when I left Ireland too, I kind of thought Ireland was the problem.
Of course.
And then so maybe America's the problem. Maybe the answer was Australia. So New Year's Eve, I went to Australia. It was New Year's Eve 2009 going into 2010. And I was really suicidal before I left. And I wanted to go earlier. Things had hit the rocks with the missus, so I was living with the girlfriend in Daly City. And, she was an accountant, right? And she wanted to come with me to Australia. And I just needed to go. Like, I was like, if I stay here any longer, I'm going to end up shooting myself, So, but she wanted to give 2 weeks notice from her job. So I was like, no, I can go on my own and you can just meet me out there. And she didn't want me to go on my own, so she went out and turned off the internet in the house like I don't know what she did, but she turned off the internet, and I was trying to book my plane tickets and my and my visa, because you do it all online. And at the time, I don't think internet coverage was that good on a cell phone. You know, you'd want to be doing it on a laptop.
Sure.
She turned off the internet in the house and kept me there an extra 2 weeks because she wanted to give her 2 weeks notice from work. Like, and the internet turned off in the house, and I was like, "What the fuck happened to the internet?" And she goes, "Oh, it was the raccoons outside. They chewed the wires." And I was as high as a kite, but I wasn't that high. Like I knew that the raccoons were not eating the wires. I was like, "This bitch turned the fucking internet off so that I can't get away." Like, and then like not only that, then she left me there over Christmas by myself in her house. Like, and I got really suicidal, dude. Like, I had tried to kill myself a few times at this point. Like, I was 27 years old, and I had tried to kill myself a few times just because the depression from all the drugs I was doing and things that were happening to me. Like, she left me alone over the Christmas, and I ended up writing a big long suicide note, like, because I wanted people to understand why I killed myself, you know, in my state of mind. And so I was doing loads of coke, going out on the table, and I wrote my suicide note. And then I read it back to myself, and it was absolute gibberish. And I said, I can't fucking leave this shit. So I flushed it down the toilet, and I was like, loaded up the gun, cocked it, and I was getting ready to kill myself, right? And the internet was back on at this point. We had the tickets booked. It was like Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. We were leaving on New Year's Eve, and I got a message from one of my buddies from back home saying, you know, "Merry Christmas, Richie." And I messaged him back, and I said, "It's going to be my last one. I'm going to kill myself." Like, and he rang me from Ireland there and then, and I don't remember a whole lot of the conversation, but he started crying on the phone, like, because it was really fucking upsetting to him, like, and just having him upset like that just kind of snapped me out of it. I was like, I don't want to hurt people by fucking killing myself. Like, so I put the thing away, fucking, and the girlfriend never knew that any of this had happened while she was away, like, you know, but I made my mind up, once I get to Australia, I'm ditching this fucking girl, like, you know, and we ended up breaking up pretty quickly after I got to Australia.
How long were you in Australia for?
I ended up staying there about 3 or 4 months, and I hated it.
Yeah.
And Australia, I'm sure, hated me too.
Well, you would have had to start over in anything that you were doing. It's just a tough task, right?
Yeah, but even besides that, you know, I was used to America where like people kind of like Irish people. No offense to Australia, but at that time, my experience was the Aussies didn't like the Irish, probably because there was a lot of Irish out there, and probably because I was a drunk asshole.
I was going to say, there's probably a lot of drunks out there too.
Yeah, and I used to do a lot of fighting and stuff like that. The guys I worked with were cool though; they were really nice. I was building houses out there, and I tried to get some coke sent over in the mail, but it never made it there.
Shocker.
Yeah, although I did send coke in the mail to Ireland a few times, and you know it got through all right. Like, yeah, you send it in the birthday card.
I would have thought ever since September 11th that shit was out. Those days were gone.
I guess not, but I know Australia has really good protection against mail coming in. But anyway, yeah, I spent 3-4 months there, and I hated it. It was like too hot. It was too expensive, and I missed the kids as well. And I thought maybe I'd give it another chance with the missus, like, you know, with the wife. So I decided to come back then, came back around March or April of 2010.
Mm-hmm.
You know, quickly got back to dealing again, same old shit. A few months later, I got like really suicidal again. And this time I had the gun out, I was loading it up, I was going to shoot myself. And the wife came into the room and saw that I had the gun out, and she took it and ran it out of the house. Like, so she saved my life, actually.
I was going to say, it sounds like you've had some protection this entire time, right? You just probably couldn't see it in the moment, but like there's already something working in your life a little bit. I mean, keeping you safe and getting you through a whole bunch of other stuff, right?
Yeah, there's too many coincidences that I don't think could be coincidences.
Right. Yeah, that's how I feel.
But back then, I didn't think like that.
No, you don't see it. It's only in retrospect.
Yeah, and so that was my last suicide attempt. I used to work with some sober Irish guys here in San Francisco, and you know, I knew that they went to the meetings, to the 12-step meetings, and I knew that they used to have problems like me, and their lives turned around. I knew they went to these meetings and their lives got better. And I was a decent enough carpenter, so I ended up working with some of these fellas on jobs before this time. And one of them was called Bernard, or Bernard, as Americans would say.
Bernard,
yeah.
Bernard,
yeah. Paddy said Bernard. Yeah,
okay,
exactly. So
got it. I can get behind that.
Yeah, Bernard. It sounds good. It's his way of saying it, at least. So Bernard was a good dude. He was from Ireland. He was like a plasterer, and we worked on some jobs together. I used to always be curious about these meetings that he was going to. So I'd say, what goes on at these meetings? And he wouldn't tell me a whole lot. He kept it quiet, he says, if you ever want to get sober, give me a call. And he gave me his number. And then after that time, I tried to kill myself. I used to think, before I got sober, I used to think I was crazy. My behavior was kind of crazy, but I thought I had some kind of mental problem.
Sure.
Besides the drinking and the drugs.
Sure.
I used to have a lot of depression. I'd be quick to anger, irritable. These kind of, so I thought maybe I have some kind of mental problem. I knew I drank too much and, I got high too much, but I didn't connect that was related to being depressed.
Sure.
I knew I couldn't handle my shit, but I used to have these depressed feelings all the time. And anyway, so after that time I tried to kill myself, I got the idea that maybe if I don't drink and don't get high, I'll stop wanting to kill myself. Well, maybe that's
actually probably the most lucid thought you've had in a long time.
It was a theory.
Yeah.
That was the theory. So I thought, okay, I'll just try and stay sober now, and then I won't want to kill myself anymore. Because I had 2 kids at this point, and wouldn't have been right. I was coming to the end of my rope, and so I'd go to work, do my construction job. I was building a house out in the East Bay, and like I said before, I was a bar drinker. So on the way home, I would have this feeling that my body wanted to go to the bar.
Mm-hmm.
But my head didn't want to go, but my body did. And I could feel something was making me want to go to the bar. And
we call that the pull.
The pull, yeah. I guess that's what it was. But before that, I never realized that this thing was with me. All those times down through the years when I said, okay, no more drinking. I had said that a load of times down through the years. Okay, the last time, no more. But then my mind would always change. Or I thought it would, I was like, oh, last week I felt like not drinking, but this week I do, and I thought it was me making these decisions. But then coming home from work, I could feel there was something wanted me to go to the bar, and I didn't want to go, because I couldn't drink at home. I had to go to the bar. So I decided to call Bernard. I was like, fuck, maybe I am an alcoholic. Maybe I need to check out these meetings. So I rang up Bernard. He goes, "Hey, Richie, how you doing?" And I says, "Bernard, I think I have a problem with the drink and drugs. Can you take me to a meeting?" He goes, "I'll pick you up this evening."
We are in the midst of the worst drug crisis in U.S. history.
The CDC has named fentanyl deadliest drug in the United States.
The drug is fentanyl.
My name is Jeremy, and I'm a recovering fentanyl addict. I've overdosed more times than I can count. I believe I was revived so I could carry the message to the addict that still suffers. Silence makes you complicit. You either recover loudly or you die quietly. I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to help you save your own life.
Join the movement today at recoverordie.org.
Just like that. It was like a Friday night. And I had been thinking about calling them all week because I knew, I was more likely to drink when I was off work because the downtime was the most dangerous time.
Weekend is dangerous too.
Yeah, exactly. If it's construction is really hard work and it's really hard to do when you're hungover. So when there's no work, the hangover isn't that big of a threat. So
Sure.
I thought the weekend was the risky time. So I think that's why I decided to call them on the Friday.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not one of those type of people to kind of ask for help for stuff like that. Was that in your DNA, or do you think that was something that was do you think that was something that was kind of grace, a form of grace or something is that something you would have normally done?
No, that's the thing, because for me growing up in Ireland, it was a sign of weakness to not be able to handle your drinking.
That's what I figured.
A sign of masculinity, and where I'm from is to be able to drink a lot and hold your beer. But for me, in my thinking at that time, I didn't mind people knowing that I was, in a gang or dealing drugs or carrying a gun. That didn't bother me at all. But I did mind them knowing that I couldn't handle my shit. That was embarrassing.
Right.
Yeah. So in my head, it was pretty difficult to reach out and ask somebody for help. And then the other thing is like, I wouldn't have been able to go to a meeting on my own. Like I used to act like I was a tough guy and fearless and all this kind of stuff, but I didn't have the guts to come into a room and put up my hand and say I have a problem, you know. So that's why I rang him, and it was a good thing he was put in my life, and he had given me the option, because if that never happened, I wouldn't have went on my own.
Right. If he was like, you have to do this.
Yeah, or even if I had never met him, you know. The idea of going to a meeting was only there in my head because I knew this person who offered to take me. So he picked me up that evening. I was like really, really nervous. And so in San Francisco, there's some Irish meetings, you know, where the Irish.
Oh, I'm familiar with them. We try to get them out to Marin all the time.
Oh,
Actually, there's one of my men's group has a lot of them come over.
That's cool. Yeah. A lot of the Irish moved up to Nevada here now, so there's probably some good Irish meetings up in Nevada.
Great ones, probably.
Yeah. So, but I didn't want to go to the Irish meeting. I knew that there was Irish meetings, but I didn't want the Irish people to know that I had a problem, because that was really embarrassing.
So you go to the American ones, but not the Irish ones.
Yeah, I was hoping I'd go to an American one because I wanted to keep it a secret with the paddies that I had a problem. Like, so I said, where are we going? When I got into the car, Bernard was in the car, and some other dude I had never met before had come along, and so I sat in the back. I was like so nervous, and I says, where are we going? He says, we're going to the Irish Centre. I'm like, oh fuck, and I was like, because I didn't want the Irish people to know. And I was trapped in the car. I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God, now all the Irish people are going to know I have a problem. And he could see I was really like nervous. So he says, did you bring your passport? I said, passport? He said, what the fuck do you want my passport for? I thought it was going to be a setup where the cops were going to be waiting and I was going to get deported. Like, and, but they were just fucking with me. He started, he just kind of Santa Claus laugh, like, and then I knew they were ball breaking me.
Yeah.
And these fuckers, like, but then it made me relax a little bit.
Good,
then, you know.
Good. Like you have nothing to worry about.
Exactly, yeah. So then we pulled up on Geary where the meeting was, and I just wanted to like get in and not let anybody see me going in either. But there was a dude waiting at the door, and he kind of stopped me, like, a northern fella, another Irish guy called Stephen. He says, how's it going? Are you new? And I was like, how the fuck does he know I'm new? You know?
Because he's never seen you at his meeting
exactly.
before.
But plus, like, if you have a drinking problem and you're not sober, you look like shit because you're not sleeping enough, you're sweaty, there's probably a smell off you. So, but I didn't understand that at the time. He stopped me. I was like, how the fuck does he know I'm new? Like, and I says, yeah, I am new. And he goes, do you think you have a problem with drinking? I says, yeah. He says, what makes you say that? I says, well, I tried to kill myself a couple of weeks ago. And he goes, that'll do it. and then he let me come in. I was like, all right, shook hands with me. And I was like,
that's the secret handshake?
Yeah, I passed the test.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's too funny.
So I came in and I was like so worried. It was like a men's meeting Friday night. And I just wanted to sit at the back and keep a low profile. And
check it out.
Yeah. And like, if the boys didn't bring me, I would have gave a fake name and everything, you know, like, because I didn't want people to know I had the problem. But at the start of the meeting, the secretary, he says, have we any new members here? Everybody looks at me. So I'm like, fuck, they already know I'm new. So I put the hand up and says, I'm Richie, I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. And they all started clapping. Couldn't believe it. Clapping for me. I'm not a good person, you know. But they didn't care. They just cared that there's a new man here.
Right.
There's a problem. We're glad that he's here. And it really made me feel welcome, you know. And then my head was still very foggy when I came in. My head didn't really clear up for a few weeks after, for a long time after I came in from years and years of drinking and getting high. So I don't remember a lot from that meeting, but I do remember some of the people sharing. And before I came to this meeting, I never put the connection between the feelings and being an alcoholic.
Mm.
There was one fella, he was sharing about, he was dumping something at the dump with a dump truck. He's just trying to do his job, reversing the dump truck. And some guy in the mirror is like shouting at him, can't fucking do that here. And he said he felt like getting out of the truck and fucking choking this man who was like giving him shit at the dump. And then I heard that and I was like, fuck, I get these kind of feelings all the time too. Like, you know,
I can relate.
Yeah. I was like, wow, there's more of them. You know, like I thought I was the only one who had these kind of crazy feelings.
And that's so
quick
cool.
to anger. Yeah. So when I heard that and then other similar feelings like it, I felt like, fuck, maybe I'm in the right place. Like, you know, and I don't feel so different. Like, and then I realized the drinking had connections to these depression and irritability and these kind of ways I was feeling all the time. So I was pumped. I was like, I found the solution. And then at the end of the meeting, everybody stood up and held hands and started praying the Lord's Prayer. Like, and
You probably hadn't prayed in a while.
no,
15 years or so.
I was raised Catholic.
Yeah.
And when I was a teenager, I stopped believing in God. I thought it was bullshit. I thought that's for children, you know, and I didn't believe there could be a God, like, especially with all the things that had happened to me. I was like, there couldn't be a God, like, but then, my mind was closed to believing in anything like that. So I went from fucking being excited and finding the solution to like holding hands with these, and there were men, like no offense, I could see Americans holding hands, but these were Irishmen holding hands, like, and like
that doesn't happen,
no, in Ireland, no, like
Okay.
it's construction workers like me holding hands, like, and I thought this is a mistake, this is a church or a cult or some bullshit, and so I was really disappointed. At that point, I was like, fuck this, I can't come back here. I don't want to become a Catholic again. I don't,
Sure,
you know, I don't
sure.
want to start believing in God. This is a mistake. So I wasn't going to come back after that.
Huh.
And I left and I was all fucking disappointed. And me and Bernard went out to his truck and he was excited that I had come. He says, well, what did you think? And I says, what the fuck is all that God shit? And he goes, what God shit? I says, holding hands and saying our Father, like, I says, I don't want to fucking believe in God, like. And he goes, never mind that shit. I said, but everybody was doing it, like. He says, you don't have to believe anything. He says, there's Buddhists and Muslims and atheists and every fucking thing in these rooms. You don't have to believe anything. I said, are you serious? He says, yeah. He says, shut your mouth and come back to meetings. So once I heard that was my out. I was like, okay. I don't have to become Catholic or anything like that again, like. So then I was open to coming back again, and I wasn't scared anymore of fucking religion or any of this nonsense. So I decided, you know, if I'm going to go to these meetings, I need to like take it seriously. So I says, how does this work? How do I get sober and stay sober? He says, well, you go to a meeting every day, and you get a sponsor, and you work the steps, and you get commitments. And he's all right. So
that's the recipe.
yeah. So I said, I'll try that. And he wanted to be my sponsor first, but I didn't trust an Irish guy because then I knew you had to tell the sponsor your secrets, like, and I didn't want to tell him in case he told the other Irish boys if I decided to leave. Like,
that's fair.
So,
I mean, you'd have a lot of shit to get off on your fifth step, right?
Yeah, and a lot of shame. I done a lot of bad things, you know.
Of course.
Yeah, I wasn't a winner, like. And so he wanted to be my sponsor, but when you're new at the meetings, usually people offer to be your sponsor and like giving out their numbers and stuff like this. At the start, I thought everybody was gay. Like, I was like, what the hell are these boys all giving me their numbers? But I learned then later that there's a thing if you're an alcoholic, and if you feel like drinking, what you do is you pick up the phone and you call another alcoholic. And then whatever the science of it is, when you talk to another alcoholic, the cravings go away.
Sure.
So I figured that out later, but at the start it was so weird. Everybody was giving me their numbers and saying, call me, like, you know. And so I went with this American boy first to be the sponsor, but he turned out to be high while he was my sponsor.
Yikes.
So anyway, he ended up relapsing and tried to commit suicide by cop. The cops shot him with a riot gun and everything, but he, you know,
wow.
He was my first sponsor, but then, you know, I knew there was before this happened, I knew there was something not right about him. He was kind of behaving funny. And so I says, this fella's the wrong fit. So I went back to Bernard and I says, it's not working out with this guy. Would you be my sponsor? He says, meet me at the beach. So I went down to the beach and we got into his car, like, and I was kind of nervous. And I says, so you're going to be my sponsor? Like, and he looks me in the eye and he goes, are you willing to do whatever it takes to be sober? I looked at him for a second. I thought, I was like, is this fella gay? Like, I thought it was some gay shit. Like, because the way he's
starts zipping his pants.
No, but it wasn't. I was just all kinds of paranoid, you know.
Of course.
Yeah, and he just meant like, will I do what he says? And I said, yeah. And there was no gay shit at all. It was just, you know, he wanted to know if I was serious.
Of course.
So he told, yeah. So we started reading the 12-step book together and working through the steps. And he says, I want you to get a commitment. And I said, what's a commitment? He says, the commitment's like a job at the meeting. Make sure you go every week. I was okay. So we were back at the Monday meeting, and there was the secretary says, we need a greeter. There's a commitment open for greeter.
Now you get to ask the guys if they're new.
Yeah, well, Bernard was sitting beside me, and I was kind of thinking, greeter? Do I want to be a greeter? And he starts elbowing me. He says, take that. So I put the hand up. I says, I'll be the new greeter. Everybody clapped. I was like, oh, fuck, okay, so I'm the greeter now. So then I figured out later what being the greeter was, and if I had knew what it was, I wouldn't have volunteered for it.
Right.
So you have to go to the meeting early, stand outside the door, and welcome people to the meeting. How are you doing? Welcome to the meeting. And like when I was new, I felt like shit inside. I didn't want to look at people in the eye. I was all kinds of nervous and self-absorbed, all this kind of shit. So like showing up at a meeting and fucking looking people in the eye and asking them how their day is, how they're doing was the last thing I wanted to do.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, and I volunteered for it and I didn't even know that's what I was volunteering for. Like, and then but I had to do it because everybody saw me putting my hand up and I didn't want to be a liar. Like, so I had to show up then and be the greeter every week, and I actually ended up enjoying it, and it brought me out of myself, and it got rid of this self-absorption, and I ended up making friends with some people. Like
that's how you get on a first name basis anyway, right? I mean, that's the easiest way to get into it.
Yeah, I made some pals, and then I was doing good being a greeter for a while, and then one day the guy who welcomed me originally, Stephen, I used to like lean up against the door and I'd be smoking cigarettes while I'm the greeter. And he comes up to me and says, what are you doing? Stand up straight. Put out that cigarette. This is a bad representation of the meeting. And I says, who the fuck does this guy think he is?
Right.
Criticizing me? Like, and then, so I was like, I'm quitting this. I don't want to be the greeter no more. Fuck this AA. I'm out of here. Like, so I ring up Bernard that night. And I says, this guy fucking gave me shit while I was a greeter. I said, no, I'm quitting this shit. I'm not coming back no more. And he says, that's not how we behave when we're sober. I said, what do you want to do? Like, he goes, I want you to call that man up and tell him you have a problem with what he did. I was like, fucking didn't want to call him up either. Like, right. Know? He says, this is how we behave when we're sober.
It was handling a resentment, right?
Yeah. And like, before I got sober, if someone gave me shit like that, I would punch them.
Sure.
Like in the bar or headbutt them. Like that would be my solution to how I would handle things before.
It's logical.
So, yeah, it made sense at the time.
Sure.
You know, and then people don't go up to you in the bar and go, excuse me, I have a problem with what you said to me.
Right.
You know, that's
or
not how
you're drinking your beer wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so I ring the guy up. And he goes, Richie, how's it going? I says, Stephen, I have a problem with what you said to me. He goes, what did I say? And I told him. I says, I don't like you criticizing me. I was just doing my job. And he says, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. And that's not what I was expecting. I was expecting him to say, fuck you. You know? And he says, I'm sorry. It was wrong of me to criticize you. Are we cool? And I says, well, there's not the reaction I was expecting. So I said, yeah, we are cool. I guess we are. You know? And then I came back to being the greeter, and I tried not to smoke so many cigarettes and tried to stand up a bit straighter. You know?
His point still got across, right?
Exactly. My sobriety date, actually, this week I celebrated 15 years.
Wow.
It's September 1st, 2010, so Labor Day.
Well, so yeah, we just passed Labor Day. Yeah, 15 years. Congratulations. Yeah. And I wouldn't be a good host if I didn't know that already. I was just trying to bring it out, but we got you a chip here.
Oh, nice.
And so
one.
you got your
Thanks,
15-year chip. I'm going to slide it over.
Oh, you're the man.
But
Thank you.
I'll get it to you after the meeting.
Okay,
But there you
appreciate
go.
it. Thank you.
Super proud of you. 15 years is a big accomplishment. Before we get into a little bit more of like what's going on with you today, now that we know that you're sober and everything, I have to hear about the kidnapping story.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that was another thing that happened in Ireland when I was working.
Oh, that wasn't even in the U.S.?
No, that was with Tomo in Ireland. So
He sounds like a bad deal.
well, in fairness, right? He's no angel the same as me, but I don't think he's the type of person who intentionally hurts people who don't have it coming, to be honest with you. Like,
Yeah.
so basically what happened, I guess I have some sympathy for Tomo because he had a lot of patience with me. I was the worst fucking drug dealer you see, he was my
Any drug
boss.
dealer that uses is usually a bad drug
See,
dealer.
I was my own best customer.
Sure.
And he was so patient with me. A lot of people might have shot me, broke my legs, at a minimum beat me up for me messing up so much. He would keep on giving me drugs on credit and say, okay, you have to pay me $400 for these by next week, okay? And like every week I would fuck up. I would like either
Bring the half.
take the half of them myself or give them out to people on credit and not get the money. So I was ending up owing him a lot of money, and he was throwing good money after bad, and we were buddies. So he did have a lot of patience with me. In fairness, he did introduce me to drug dealing. You know, if you're a drug dealer, you have to learn how to do it, and he taught me how to do it. And like, nobody held a gun to my head and asked me or forced me to do it. I wanted to do it at the time.
Sure. It seemed like
So-
easy money, right?
So like, if you ever ask my mother about Tomo, she'd say, "Oh Jesus, I'd kill him if I ever met him." You know,
Of course.
But in fairness, I didn't need much encouragement, and he's not a bad guy. I don't think. He's not a malevolent person. You know, and he had a lot of patience with me. So I don't blame him for my troubles.
That's fair.
He's not a bad person. But basically, what happened was we were like 18, 19. We're in college, like college drug dealers, right? And there was a guy who was a friend of ours called Travis. We'll call him Travis, right? Nice guy, older fella. He was in his 30s. He was kind of a nerd, hippie. You know, he had glasses, and he used to hang around with the college crowd, right? And he was also a drug dealer, but sometimes Tomo used to supply him. And he got a couple of kilos of hash on credit from Tomo.
What does that run? Just curiosity back then.
So back then, 4 bars, a bar was 600. So
2,400.
about 2,400 maybe a
So
kilo.
times two.
Yeah. So yeah. about
So $5,000.
Yeah, something like that, right? Maybe he might got a little bit of a discount, but so he got a couple of kilos on credit from Tomo, and then he just stopped answering the phone, just ghosted him.
Yeah, you can't do that.
He had no intention of paying him. Just fucking was gonna, keep the shit and the money, like. And so that's all well and good, but the problem is, Tomo had a wholesaler that he was getting stuff off on credit, a dangerous guy called Pat. Smiling Pat was his nickname because he was always smiling, but he was younger than us. He was only 17 or 18, but he was dangerous, like. And so he'd be calling up Tomo looking for the money and for the stuff that Tomo has borrowed.
Yeah.
And then one of your guys disappears with the stuff and not paying you back. And Pat was getting on the phone with drills and saws and power tools and telling Tomo, this is what you're going to get if you don't pay the money.
Jesus.
So Tomo was under serious pressure to pay back the money that he owed. And then so Travis had stolen from him.
And what a huge ripple effect.
Yeah. And then me as well, being a disaster of a dealer who like, I am owing him money as well, but like, I'm supposed to be his friend. So basically, this is how it started. So Tomo calls me up one day. He goes, Mush, Travis didn't answer the phone. I need that money. He goes, look, we're going to kidnap him, okay? I need you to help me. I was like, fuck, that's serious.
Mm-hmm.
And Travis was a good guy. He actually saved my life one time when I tried to kill myself.
Oh, so you're in a moral dilemma.
Yeah. He wasn't a bad guy, even though I knew what he did to Tomo was wrong.
Yeah.
So I had some loyalty to him, and I was like, I'm not helping you if you're going to kill him. He doesn't deserve to die. Like, we're not going to kill him. trust me, swear to God, right? I believe in God, right? So I swear to God, we're not going to kill him, okay? His family have money. We're going to get the money off the family. You just have to help us get him. I says, well, how does this work? Like, he goes, well, so I live in Dublin. You live down here. So when you see him, you have to call us, let us know, and then stay on him. I'll be down with a car full of boys from Dublin. We'll get him. We'll take him to a safe house, and we'll make his family pay the money.
A safe house.
Yeah. So I was like, later on, I found out the safe house was Tomo's own house. Yeah. So
this sounds like some 19-year-old stuff.
And the thing is, like, I owed the money too. So if I didn't help, they could have done it to me as well, you know. So
everybody's
So like, so I agreed to do it.
In the quiet hills of Marin County, there's a place where healing begins. A place where alcohol or drugs no longer control your life. At Live Oaks Wellness, we offer compassionate, client-centered care for those struggling with addiction. Our licensed drug and alcohol detox and residential programs are designed to help you take the first step toward recovery with a team that truly understands the journey. You don't have to walk this path alone. At Live Oaks, we're here to help you rebuild, restore, and reclaim your life. Take the first step today. Live Oaks Wellness. Healing starts here.
Was out drinking one night in the town we lived in, the town that I lived, Maynooth, and there was a bar called The Roost. It was like a busy sort of disco bar kind of thing, and I saw Travis there, and so I texted Tomo, and I'm like, he's here at The Roost, and Tomo rings me, he goes, stay on him, we're coming now, stay on him. So I stayed on him, and then followed him up to another bar. It was like an old man kind of bar, like quiet, sort of dead place called Caulfields.
How far away is Dublin from there?
About a half hour.
Okay.
Yeah, so the boys hopped into a car and drove down. And you see, I was in Tomo's gang, the younger gang, but he also had a separate gang in Dublin.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
No, he was only a young lad. He was my age, 18 or 19, but like he had this gang up in Dublin of older guys who followed him around, like ex-cons, and he was like the boss of them up there. So he had two separate crews. Like,
it's whoever has the product, right?
Well, they could get product too, but he was smart, so they followed him around, like, you know. So he comes down with these other guys, and I'm there waiting, you know, drinking a pint, watching him, and the boys just walk into the pub, and they come up to his table, and he sees them. He just looks up, white as a ghost, like, and Thomas says, "Mush, come on, you're coming with us up to Dublin." And so he got up, didn't kick, didn't scream, just got. He was white as a ghost.
So Tomo called you Mush too. What is that, a nickname? Is that
Mush
kind of
is like where he's from in Ireland. Mush is like bro or dude. Yeah. You know, we don't say where I'm from, but yeah, he calls everybody Mush or Buster. He said Buster for some reason.
I love it. I love the dialect.
Yeah, he's a character. So anyway, Travis got into the car. He walked away. There was no kicking or screaming, no nothing. Like
he knew he fucked up. You know?
Yeah, he knew he fucked up. He knew he deserved it or whatever. You know, and then so he went up to Dublin with the boys, and I heard later what happened from Tomo. Like, so they were trying to scare him at the house. Like, he brought him to his own house. There was no safe house, like, or maybe he had a safe house. It never materialized. Like, so he's like trying to scare him, you know. And Tomo's brother lived with him, and in the middle of this, the brother's like coming in with fucking cups of tea, like, and he's like, "What the fuck, Mush? You're ruining the mood," like, you know. So the guy, he pretended his parents didn't have any money or whatever, and eventually Tomo goes into the kitchen. He comes out with some trash bags. He goes, "Mush, get the money or you're going in the fucking bin bags."
Ooh,
yeah. So
that changes things.
Yeah. So I think that was what convinced him. So he rang the mother. He was from the other end of the country, so that would have been 4 or 5 hours away. So he rang the mother, and the mother said she was coming with the money. Like, so the next day there was like the agreed drop off point was a parking lot, an empty parking lot in Dublin. And so Tomo went to collect the money. He put like a scarf around his head to cover his face, like, and he went to meet the mother, and she goes, "Please don't hurt him." And Tomo was like, "I don't know nothing about it. I'm just here to get the money. I'm just here to pick up the money." But it was him who got the money, sure. You know. So he got the money. Each of the kidnappers got like $500 or $600 each for doing it. So all the money was paid back, and then they just let him go.
And your slate's clean at this
My
point too.
slate was clean too. Like, yeah.
And did Travis ever know that you were part of it?
No, I don't think so, but I'm sure he knows now, like, you know. But yeah, I'm sure he's okay. But you know, when you're doing the steps, trying to get sober, one of the steps is you have to make amends for the things you have done. Like,
Oh boy.
so he was top of my amends list because I felt really bad about that.
Of course. That's probably at that time, one of the worst things you had done.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, when I was going to do my amends with Bernard, I would try and think ahead, like, you know, what would be the amends for this? Like, some shit was obvious. Like, if you borrowed money, pay back the money.
Yep.
If you owe an apology, fucking make an apology. So with this guy, I was like, fuck, kidnap Travis. So I was like, what's the opposite of a kidnapping? I was like, oh, I could send him on a nice vacation. You know? So in my head, I thought the amends was going to be send Travis on a vacation.
Guess what you won?
Yeah. So I came to Bernard and I told Bernard what I did and what happened. And he goes, does that man know you were involved in the kidnapping? I says, no. He says, well, don't fucking say it to him. Leave him alone. Just don't fucking kidnap anyone again.
Except when to do so would injure them or others, right?
Exactly, yeah. But if you're out there, Travis, and you do want a vacation, I will send you on a vacation.
Think of the most elaborate vacation ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's actually a good segue. And so, like, you end up doing the steps.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is 2010
Mm-hmm.
and you're getting through it. At what point are you thinking that, like, you can do this now?
Yeah.
And then, like, where are you at with your family at this point?
Well, so... yeah, it was 2010. So when I started the steps, and at the start, my wife was like skeptical, you know, because so many times before I had said, "Oh, I'm going to stop, never again," like, you know, this kind of stuff. So took a little while for her to see that I was serious about being sober, you know. But
they want to see it. They're not going to trust anything you said at this point, right?
When somebody has lied so many times before, you don't have any trust.
None.
So yeah. My family back home were pretty supportive about it back in Ireland, but so I started working the steps, and you know, step one was admitted you were powerless over drugs and alcohol, and your life was unmanageable. Like I knew I was powerless from when I was a kid, but the life unmanageable was kind of a realization for me because I thought I was doing okay.
Yeah, you probably had some money in the bank.
Yeah,
you
I
were
had a
respected
job.
where you were. Yeah, you just had a really bad cocaine habit.
Yeah, I had a job and everything. I had a truck, you know. I was like, I'm not, because I used to think an alcoholic was someone who's homeless.
Yeah,
you
Skid
know?
Row stuff.
Yeah, but the reality is most alcoholics are functional. They have a job, but it's a problem that affects some area of their life.
Sure.
I didn't know that before I got sober.
Yeah.
So there was no problem with step one. Step two came to believe that a power greater than you could restore you to sanity. So I didn't, like I said, I didn't
like that at first.
Didn't believe in God. I was an atheist. I was like, didn't want to become a Catholic again. So this one was kind of a puzzler, like, but one of the boys that I met from the meetings, he said, you don't need to believe in God. He says, the group can be your higher power. So I said, okay. He's like, group of drunks, good orderly direction. All these fucking acronyms, you know?
Yep.
So at the start, the group was my higher power, right? And I had a buddy who was at the meetings called Pat. He was an Irish American, and he was same as me. He was a former criminal who had really turned his life around. He's a great guy, and he has some good coffee shops in the city, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, right now. But I used to look up to Pat, and I used to go to these day meetings sometimes that he would hold. And I talked to him at one of the meetings one day, and he says, did you find a higher power yet? I says, yep, the group is my higher power. And he says, that's a stupid higher power. I was like, why? He goes, well, you know, if the group all drink again, or if they die in a plane crash, you're fucked. You have no higher power. I says, Jesus, okay, you're right. So then, I used to listen at the meetings, and one time I heard like a hippie say that their higher power was a tree.
Or a doorknob.
Well, yeah, the smart ass would say a doorknob, yeah, or a hippie would say a tree. So then I told Pat, okay, well, my higher power is going to be a tree. And Pat says, if your higher power is a tree, I'm going to get a chainsaw and cut it down and then burn it with gasoline. And I said, fuck, well, I'm going to have a doorknob. And he goes, well, if your higher power is a doorknob, I'm going to shoot it with my shotgun. He said, fuck, Pat, you're killing all my higher powers. Like, he says, the best higher power is something that you can't see, and then nobody can fuck with it. Like, and I said, what are you supposed to do with this higher power? Like, He says, you're supposed to pray to it whenever you get the craving for drinking, and it'll go, and the craving will go away. I says, really?
Yeah, it sounds like voodoo.
Yeah, it sounds like bullshit. Like, so he goes, try it. He says, it doesn't have to be the Jesus God or anything like that you grew up with. He says, just try it. Next time you feel like drinking, just pray to the higher power, see if it'll go away. Like, so next time I got the because when I was new, I got the cravings all the time. Like, because I was used to drinking or getting high whenever I felt uncomfortable.
Yep.
Every time I had a feeling, or whenever somebody pissed me off, or I was annoyed about something, or worried, or bored, it was like my solution to everything. So when I was new, I kept getting these cravings. Like, so
You know, you were raw.
yeah. So after Pat told me this, the next time I got a craving, I tried praying, and it worked. It went away, and I said, I came to Pat. I said, Pat, it worked. He goes, it works even better if you do it on your knees. I said, really? He goes, yeah, trust me. Like, and I was like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm praying to. He goes, it doesn't matter. You don't need to know. All you need to do is pray to something. Like, and so that's 15 years ago. I started doing that, and the cravings went away, and they've never come back since. And I still do it, and because I'm afraid to stop doing it in case I fucking want to drink again, you know. But how do you explain that? Like,
That's why you have to find people in such a state of willingness that like they're willing to do anything, you know, because until you're at that place, it sounds absurd.
yeah, exactly.
And then you won't do it because your mind will tell you that's stupid. It's not going to work. This segment of the Pull Podcast is brought to you by Creekside Recovery.
Yeah, and so like, the way I see it, either there really is a higher power that's keeping me sober, or it's a mind fuck that if you do it, it'll make you.
But either way,
it works either way.
Yeah, and that's all you need to worry about.
Yeah, so that was step 3, and then step 4 was like made a searching and fearless moral inventory of yourself.
Yeah,
which means Bernard says, once you write down a list, all the people, places, and things that you're angry at, write down how it affects you and what your part was in it. So.
That took a while, huh?
It did, yeah, because I had a lot of resentments against people. I hated a lot of people who had fucked me over. Like, so, you know, some were simple enough, like Bank of America or Australia, but you know,
or the entire country of Australia.
Yeah, Australia, you know. But I'd write this shit down. I used to call it the shit list, and so I'd write down this list and go through it with Bernard. And you know, one of the big ones I had was this fella who had snitched on me when I was a dealer in Ireland. I can't remember what we called him in the book, and I don't want to say his real name,
Of course.
but we'll say the guy. We'll call him maybe Patrick. Okay, so I put down. He says, "Well, who are you angry at?" I said, "Patrick," and he goes, "What did he do to you?" I says, "He fucking snitched on me to the cops, and that's how I got caught dealing drugs." Like, and he says, "What was your part in it?" I said, "I didn't have a part in it." He says, "You didn't have a part in it?" I said, "I was a stand-up guy. I fucking went into the police station and they offered that to me too, and I wouldn't rat on anybody. I have no part in it." He looks at me, he says, "Weren't you dealing drugs?" I says, "Yeah." He
That
says,
was your part.
"Yeah." He goes, "Aren't drugs illegal?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, if you weren't fucking selling drugs, he wouldn't have fucking ratted on you." And until he said that to me, I thought I had no part in it. I thought I was a victim and all this kind of stuff. Like, and so we went through all these different things that I was angry at, and he helped me to find my part in shit. Because like, it's really easy to be angry if you don't look at your own part, because you feel like a victim. Like,
Because you feel like a victim.
yeah. And like step 5 was step 4 was writing that down. Step 5 was sharing that with him. And then step 6 and 7 was about looking at my character defects. And I'm not a perfect person. Like, you know, I can be paranoid or quick to anger, or, you know, started to identify the behaviors that were wrong with me that you know, I still struggle with some shit. Like, and then step 8 was made a list of all the people you had harmed and became willing to make amends to them.
That list must have been very long.
It was, yeah. And like, most of the stuff I had done, I had got away with, like, so I didn't want to go to jail. Like, you know, I told you about Travis with the kidnapping, that was one. And then we had a tricky one was, I stole this valuable painting around 2009, right? And it was like worth a lot of money, and I got away with it. mailed it back to Ireland, and it was like my retirement plan, this painting I was going to sell later on in life that was worth a lot of money. But I knew that it didn't belong to me, and I wanted to stay sober, so you have to like right the wrongs that you did by working the steps. So I knew that painting didn't belong to me, so I got it sent back from Ireland. Somebody was taking care of it for me over there. And the thing was, I couldn't just go up to where I robbed it and go, "Oh, sorry, I stole this. Please don't arrest me," because it was grand theft, So
yeah, if it's retirement money,
but you can't just rob a bank and come back with the money and go, "Sorry, I robbed this. Don't arrest me."
Yeah.
So I asked Bernard. I says, "How the fuck do I do this without going to jail?" And he didn't know. And he asked his sponsor, and his sponsor didn't know. And he asked the great grand sponsor, and they didn't know either. But the good thing at the meetings, you'll meet all kinds of people from all different backgrounds. So I started asking around to try and figure out how I give back this painting. And one of the boys I knew he was a former IRA terrorist, and he came up with this harebrained scheme where you wrap the painting up and we leave it at a location, then we go to a phone booth and we make an anonymous call to where it was robbed from, and then hope that they pick it up. So then we didn't do that because we were afraid someone else could find the thing, We ended up not doing that one. And then, we talked to cops and lawyers and different people who were sober, and somebody suggested near where I robbed it from, there was a seminary for training priests. So someone suggested I could go into the seminary, make a confession to the priest and ask him to give it back anonymously. So that's what I did.
That's actually a good idea.
Yeah, I put it into the car or into the truck and drove down and asked to see a priest. And, this dude came out and he said, "What's going on?" I says, "Father, I'm trying to stay sober and I have this painting I need to give back, but I don't want to go to jail for it." I said, "Would you be able to give it back for me?" And he said, "Yeah." So I gave it to him, and that was the end of the painting, and it felt like $1 million to get rid of that.
Bet.
Yeah.
It was also the one thing that's still hanging over your head that, if you got caught for it, you were going away for a while.
Yeah, but I didn't think I would ever get caught, but I knew it didn't belong to me. So I did all these other amends, and none of them were easy. I had built them up so much in my head. Even apologies, I remember I was living with these girls in Australia when I was over there, and one of them I had insulted her and made fun of her one night when I was drunk, and I felt really bad about it, and I felt like I needed to call this girl up and make an apology to her. I got into my truck and I smoked about 5 cigarettes before I could make the call, and I rang her, and then I said, "I'm really sorry about how I behaved." She didn't even know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
She completely forgot about whatever it was that I had said.
But it was eating you up.
But I felt really fucking bad about it. And she was totally cool, and that was the end of that. And then I'd smoke 5 more cigarettes after. It was difficult. But
on to the next one, right?
Yeah. And I actually owed money to Tomo that from back in the day. And I actually was making okay money then at that point, and I went over to Ireland and I gave him, and he was actually short on money at that time, so he really appreciated it. And so I wrote a letter to my mother to apologize about how I behaved, embarrassing her and my behavior that way. But I got through them all, and I really, really did feel like my life was getting better, right? So things were looking up. After I was coming up on about a year sober, and then my plan was construction. I was going to have my own company, get my contractor license, and then build a business, because I was in construction for a while at that time. So that was my plan. I went, I took the test, I got my license, and I was my contractor license. And then I was working for this other guy at the time doing a remodel, and I had a construction accident and broke my back. A beam fell on me, fucking broke one of my discs, herniated the other one. So
holy shit,
that was the end of my carpentry career. And then the guy fired me, and he was a sober guy too. So it was it was someone I really trusted. I started to really feel sorry for myself again, and I was I thought my life was supposed to get better when I'm sober. I thought everything is supposed to be great now. I'm fucking worse off than when I started. Like, and so all my savings went away, and I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. And then the Asian fellas I was working with, you know, when I got sober, I met with them and I told them I can't do this no more. You know, I was taking an ounce a week off them. I said, I can't do this anymore. And then they wanted to meet me. I was afraid they might kill me because I knew too much. Like, and but they just wanted to, the guy Ronald, he just wanted to look me in the eye and see if I was telling the truth. Like, so me and him were always on good terms. I always paid cash. You know, there wasn't any problems really. Like, so anyway, I told him, you know, I have a problem. I can't do this no more. And he says, you know, if you have a problem, you're doing the right thing. You know, good for you. That's okay. And then he offered to buy my customers off me. He was like, I'll buy your customers off him. I was like, no, you can have them. I don't want it. I don't want anything to do with it.
Right. That's just more illegal money.
Yeah, this is before I broke my back. But I was like, no, you can have them. I don't feel good about this. He's like, no, it'll be residual income. You don't have to see anything. You don't have to touch anything. I was like, no, bro.
He's literally trying to pay you. And you're like,
I know,
leave me alone.
But I couldn't take it.
Yeah.
You know, he was, you know, I just didn't feel right about it. And then he told me at that time, he says, if you ever want to work for us, just doing deliveries, you know, we'll pay you $500 a day. Just fucking, you know, all you'll have to do is answer the phone, go do the deliveries. And I was like, thanks, I appreciate that. But
deliveries of drugs, right?
Yeah. Delivering coke, like. And so he had made me this offer. And then I had broken my back and my savings were all gone. And I had no more money.
You're another fork in the road.
Yeah, I was almost out of money. I remember that Christmas, I had no money to buy Christmas presents for my children. And one of my old drinking buddies from the bar, Alfredo, he was a roadie for Santana. He's a legend, the little Filipino guy. He loaned me money, I remember that Christmas, to buy presents for my kids. Like, I was and I was in a lot of pain from the injury. And I was really feeling sorry for myself. And plus I couldn't take pain meds because I had been told, if you're an alcoholic and a drug addict, a real risk is to be taking narcotic pain meds. They can lead you to relapse. So I didn't even want to be taking pain meds. So I was in a lot of pain. I was feeling sorry for myself. Shit was looking bad. And my money was almost gone. And I was thinking, God, when the money's all gone, I'm going back to working for these boys, delivering coke around San Francisco. That's what I'm going to do when the money's all gone.
Did you literally say that in a prayer?
Kinda, yeah. And then I was talking to Pat, the guy who helped me find my higher power, and I told Pat, I says, when the money's gone, I'm going back to work for these boys. Like, you know what he said to me? He says, the reason you're saying that is because you don't want to depend on God and your higher power. I said, what do you mean? He says, you're holding on to this one thing so you don't have to depend on God. Like, he says, you're not 100% dependent on God if you're holding on to this one thing. Like, and I thought about what he said, and I knew that the higher power had removed my cravings since I started praying, and he was right. And so I made a decision. If all my money goes, if I'm fucking homeless, I'm never going to do that again. And so I never went to back working for the boys again. And around this time, step 12 is where you sponsor other people. So I had started sponsoring other people, and you know, they kept relapsing. but I was still trying to figure out. But you stayed sober. Yeah, I was still trying to figure out how to get them sober. And part of the trick is, like, if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, you're kind of consumed with selfishness. That's why I use these substances, because you know, this burden of self that we have, like. So I'm focusing on trying to help these other boys get sober. So it kind of stopped me from feeling sorry for myself with my broken back and my money all gone and my career over. Like, and then one day I was at a meeting, still trying to figure out what I was going to do. I went to City College and I studied web design. I thought I might be a web designer. And this girl I knew from the meetings, she says, you should be a model. And I was like, I was 30 years old at this point, broken nose, fake teeth, you know, from fighting and shit. I was like, I'm not model material, but I would take the suggestion because I want money. Like, so I sent off some photos to modeling agencies, And one of them actually signed me. So then I was like, I started doing a little bit of modeling. And, I tell the boys in the meeting, like, I was really embarrassed about it, like, because I was a construction dude, like, and I thought they were going to think I was going to come out of the closet or something, But, they were encouraging me, like, and then a dude saw me on a modeling website and he asked me to be in his film. He said he needed someone to play a German gangster. And I met this kid anyway, he was the director, and he says, don't take this the wrong way, but you do have that look about you, like gangster. So I didn't want to scare him, so I didn't tell him nothing, like. So this was my first role that I got, where I was playing a gangster, and I really enjoyed it, and I was like, fuck it, I'm not trying to be an actor now. And then I started taking classes, and, I did some little roles here in San Francisco, and then ended up moving to LA in 2013, and I've been doing TV and movies now for the last few years. Like,
so I just think that's so funny too, because it's almost like, you're at that place where you're like, God, when this money runs out, I'm going to go back into delivering at least, right? Or doing illegal shit for money.
Yeah.
And then you have that conversation with Pat. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You have that conversation with Pat. Then you actually say, like, you made a decision that you're not going to do it, and then all of a sudden a whole new career is opened up right before you, right?
Yeah, it's been so bizarre, like, because
I disagree. That's literally my experience too. It's like you think losing, well, at least I did think losing the career that I had was the worst thing that could ever happen to me, other than like losing my parents, right? But like, losing that career, I worked hard for it. And so like not having that anymore, it was part of my identity. So it's like, where do you go from there? And then like to find a new career is just, I just think it's so funny, man. It's like, that's the hardest part, I think, when you're trying to get somebody new, when you're talking about that 12-step and passing along the message, it's getting people to believe that it can work for them too, right? And it's like, you have to take that it's only a leap of faith, a blind leap of faith once. And then once you land and you know that it's not, you have no problem usually depending on that for, hopefully your future.
Yeah. And, the good thing is we have these meetings we can go to, and there's all kinds of evidence around of it working.
Yes.
Because you can look at the people who are doing the deal and then they stay sober and their lives get better. Like, why would it not work for you?
Well, so exactly, right? I mean, it's that simple. I mean, the evidence, that's the thing, right? You can't deny the evidence that's right in front of you.
Yeah.
Most of those stories are in your book, right? And your book is called
The Gangster's Guide to Sobriety.
You're right. That's what I thought.
My Life in 12 Steps.
My Life in 12 Steps. Okay. I knew the 12 Steps was mentioned in there, which is amazing. And all those stories and plenty more are in there.
It came out about 2 years ago.
Yeah, but in May.
Oh, in May. Yeah.
And then there's been a possible screenplay. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's been developed for TV at the moment. So my partners are they're writer producers. John Altshuler and Dave Krinsky. They did Silicon Valley.
King of the Hill.
They were showrunners on that. They wrote Blades of Glory with Will Ferrell. Yeah,
so
they're comedy guys, and they're my writing partners. They helped me write the book, and it's been developed for TV at the moment. So hopefully soon we should have a TV version.
So it's sort of like your memoirs, but it's like a dark comedy.
Yeah, it's basically like the yarns I've been telling you here. It's a story about recovery. I would say it's a dark comedy. Yeah.
When can we? Because I can't wait for it. When can we expect it, do you think?
I would hope pretty soon. I can't really say where it's at, but they are working on the pilot at the moment, the pilot script. So
amazing. That's awesome. What else is going on in your life today? How are your kids?
Well, the kids are great. They got their daddy back since I got sober, but they were very young when I got sober. So I've been sober for 15 years now, but. My life is good. I live in LA, and I still act and do TV and films, and I write, and I have a good life these days.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show. If people want to follow you, are you on? What's your Instagram handle?
Yeah, my Instagram is Richie Actor.
Richie Actor. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they can also follow you on Google or whatever. Do you have a page or?
Yeah, you can find me online. Richie Stephens is the name, and the book is Gangster's Guide to Sobriety. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible.
That's where I need to get it. I got 12 books I need to use by the end of the year, I think, dude. I've been slacking on my reading.
Oh.
But that'll be one of them as soon as we get out of here, I promise you. But congratulations again on 15 years.
Thank you.
Thank you again for your time. It's been an amazing interview, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you.